Look how pretty. Look how pretty. Hi you guys, welcome back to the Clean Beauty Code. I am so excited for this video because we're doing a fun makeup look and we're going to be talking about new makeup, which is really exciting. We're going to be doing a fun like red lip, true holiday vibe makeup look, which I'm so excited about. Because there's something about a red lip look that just jazzes me. It puts me in the best mood. So I'm really excited to get into this video and put it all on my face and do some reviews for you guys. So if you're excited for this video and more videos like this, then please like and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this full face of new makeup. All right, I brought you in closer. Let's get into it. I'm excited. New makeup. So first things first. I want to do my brows. So I have a new brow pencil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this brow gel from LYS Beauty, which I have been loving, you guys. It's so good. Your brows do not move. It's honestly earthquake proof in my opinion, or hurricane proof, or any type of lot of wind situation proof. It's so good. So I like to clean off the wand. I've already talked about this and done a review, but this is so good. Also, please excuse the fact that my brows need to desperately get done. And I think I'm gonna wait till next month, which like I already am regretting doing, but it's just what needs to get done. All right, brows are gelled. They're looking a little bit insane. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of cleanup before I actually go get them done. But next, we're moving on to the brow pencil. So this is the new brow pencil. This is from the brand Give. And I was really intrigued by this because I just felt like the pencil itself, like the tip, looked so interesting and it looked thin enough for people who have thinner brows, but it also looked big enough for the shape and the length that I like my brow pencil to generally have. So I was intrigued. I got the shade. Oh my gosh, it's impossible to tell. I want to say it's 6, but I'm going to link everything down below. But we're going to just go in and fill. And what I like about this is although, again, it's like a bigger, there's more real estate, if you will, on this, it really does like pencil in really nicely. So we're just going to go in and fill. Love that. I love the way that this fills in my brows without feeling too intense, but also while still filling into the capacity that at least I need my brows. And the fact that it's so thin is really nice. I don't know if you can tell, but the actual tip that you use to fill in the brows is really thin, which is just ideal because sometimes depending on how much you need to fill your brows in, especially because I have a scar on one of my eyebrows and I need to fill in, but I need what I fill it in with to be super thin so it doesn't, because it's at the top of my brow, so that it doesn't end up smudging all over my face, if that makes sense. This is really nice. I actually really like the way that this wears, and just the longevity of it is really nice. Now I know I'm gonna get questions on if I like this more than the Westman Atelier brow pencil that I love, and it's not taking it over, but I do really like it, and I feel like the shape and everything, and even the undertone of specifically this shade, is right kind of neck and neck with that one. However, the Westman Atelier one is more waxy. This is not as waxy. I prefer a little bit more of a waxy brow pencil because I find that it lasts a lot longer on me. However, there's a lot of people that don't love a waxy brow pencil. This would be great for you. Okay, next we're gonna move on to complexion. Now, I actually only have a sample of this, but I'm buying the full size. So this is from the brand Keys, and this is their, what is this? Their Give Me Permission to Glow. It's just like an illuminating serum, and my skin loves this. So we're gonna put this on underneath the base product that we're putting on, and it's just so nice. I use this my skin just loves this, and this is a really nice tone because it I feel like it would work for so many different undertones, and it would give most people the exact type of glow that they just want to look really healthy and dewy. And I feel like especially in winter, it is so hard to look glowy and dewy unless you have the types of products that kind of glow. I just go over my brows so I don't mess it up, mess up my brows, because I always like to do my brows first in general, and then I'm always like, why do I do this to myself? It's because I'm crazy. It's so good. Oh, look at that glow it just gives your skin. So healthy, so dewy, but also it doesn't look wet in a good way. I don't know how to explain it. Like, it doesn't look like I'm sweating a ton, but it gives such a nice, healthy sheen. And I feel like people who really enjoy the glass skin look will love this. And such a little bit of this goes a long way. Like, even what I took out, way too much, but I made it work. You really need such a little amount of this. I have been loving this, and I can't wait to purchase a full size because it's just so, so good. And I feel like a lot of people love bases like that, but sometimes they're too shiny. This has like a glow and a sheen without it being too shiny, but also too glittery, because we don't want, actually, maybe you do. I do not want to look like a disco ball. It's just not for me. Not on the base. Not today. Absolutely not. But I really like this, and it doesn't leave my skin tacky. I highly recommend checking it out if you're kind of in the market for something like that, because it's also not super expensive. Next, we're moving on to like a skin tint type product, and it's also from the brand Keys. I was so excited to get my hands on this. And I will say, it took me a really long time to figure out which shade I wanted to order, and it just was really, for me at least, I struggled because I felt like I could have a ton of shades that worked for me, which is really nice. But I was worried I was going to go with the wrong undertone and the wrong depth, like in terms of how light something was. So I got, this is the It's Like Skin 2-in-1 concealer and tint, which intrigued me too, just because sometimes it's nice to have something that can kind of work double duty. And I got the shade 350N. Now, I really, really was so excited to try this out. So this is the shade. I do feel like it's slightly light, but when I go on with bronzer and stuff like that, it's totally fine. So we are going to, I'm actually going to apply it to the back of my hand. Just a good amount of product, and I'm going to use a brush to blend with it, just because I've been really liking using a fluffy brush. And I'm going to use this is the Hourglass, I think it's just their powder brush, but it's dual-sided, and I'm going to get the product onto the brush, and we're just going to apply directly to the skin, and I'm just going to lightly apply it. And I have found that in times where I need, look how that is. Oh, I love this. In times where I want to even out my complexion and I'm using a skin tint type product, but I don't want to over apply it because you can always apply more. This product layers really well. It's nice to use a fluffy brush that just kind of will apply the product without overdoing it. Because then I feel like when I do that and I over apply, then sometimes by the end of the day, my skin is just looking really crepey, and it's not the vibe. I love that. I love the way that it looks on my skin. Again, I do feel like it's a touch light, but just a touch in the sense where I definitely want to put a bronzer on. But I love this. The way that this wears is so absolutely beautiful. I did not think, to be honest, I was going to be impressed by this, because in general, whenever there's kind of a more celebrity brand, I'm always like, sure, Dan, like, no, it's not going to be living up to at least the expectation that I have for makeup. However, Keys, which if you don't know is Alicia Keys' brand, is really my vibe. I'm really, really enjoying this product, and especially right now, my skin needs hydration, but I don't want it to be too dewy, because then sometimes I just feel like in pictures I can look overly dewed up and a little bit too greasy. This has been really great. It's a very comfortable wear. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a little bit under the eyes just so you can see what it looks like under the eyes. So just a very, very little bit. So then I'm going to go on with this side of the Heavenly Luxe number 7 brush, which I love as well. And this side is just such a good concealer brush in general. And I'm just going to blend with the brush very lightly. And I just want you to see what that kind of does. It definitely gives me some nice coverage. Now, my under eyes are very dark, so I generally like to go with, first of all, a more brightening shade, so not the shade that I have on my face, but also I like something with a little bit more medium coverage. I would say that this gives a little bit more light coverage. However, it is very nice coverage, and the way it wears is really nice. And if you have dry under eyes or you always want your concealer to be more on the hydrating side, this will be a nice concealer for you. Okay, next, now I want to put on actually a more brightening concealer because this mama needs some brightening. So we're going to go on with the Tower 28. I have the shade NoHo, and I'm just going to use a small touch of this just right here because just give me a little bit of brightness. My under eyes are so dark, you guys. I need to find a solution to the problem. I actually just ordered these eye masks that are meant to brighten your under eyes. I don't know how much I believe in that hocus pocus of just like you put an eye mask on, you take it off, and then you're brightened. But I'm trying it out because I do feel like there's a lot of people that, especially in winter, your under eye bags just look a lot more, like if they're dark, just look more apparent just because we're, losing our ability to be in the sun as much. I'm going to go and blend out with a beauty sponge. This is so nice, this shade. I really, just the brightness it gives is amazing. I love how bright or it made my under eyes without being too crazy. Do you prefer a concealer that is more to your complexion so it kind of matches, or do you like something that's more brightening? Let me know down below. Next, we're going to move on to kind of a bronzer sculpting type of product. And this is from the brand OG, and they actually sent me this. I've always seen this brand on Instagram and stuff, so I was not really sure about it. I like to put this on the back of my hand. Now, what I will say about this is if I have to compare it to, I'm going to take my Heavenly Luxe number 7, just this side. If I have to compare it to, let's say, the Westman Atelier one, I'm just going to use this as more of a bronzer contour as opposed to just a contour, which is kind of, I think, what this is meant to be more of. It's a sculpt face stick. This is the shade Copper. I will say I don't feel like it really measures up in the sense of that product because the Westman Atelier just has a specific type of longevity that this one does not necessarily have. It still is on by the end of the day, but I do feel like by the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily, I gotta put a little bit more on the back of my hand, it doesn't necessarily look as great as the Westman one because the Westman one has more of a natural matte finish, and I would say that this is more of a dewy finish, but it's also not quite as pigmented. It's still a nice product, but if I had to choose between the two, I would go Westman Atelier. However, this is nice, and this is one that I feel like a lot of people would love if they were on vacation or, okay, hair. Do you ever have just phantom hairs floating around your head? Because that's what's happening right now. I do feel like this would be great for like a beach vacation or something like that. It does give a nice bronze, and I really enjoy it. This does have a little bit of a shimmer to it, and shimmer not in a glittery way, but it just has a little bit more sheen, so that also kind of gives it more of a dewy appearance. And for bronzers in general or contours, I prefer something a little bit more natural, but I do enjoy this, and I do feel like the color and the way that it blends is really nice. But again, the pigmentation is not really there for me with this product. I don't want to have to keep applying layers. I'm just happy with like what I put on the back of my hand, apply once, and I'm kind of done. I don't want to over apply. With this product, I find myself having to apply it a lot more than I would, let's say, with the Westman Atelier or even with the LYS Beauty, their bronzer stick. I prefer that than I would over this. It is a nice product. However, for my preference, it isn't necessarily kind of there. Okay, next, what I am going to do is I'm going to go on top of this with a little bit of a powder bronzer. Not anything too crazy, but I do want to set it with a powder just because I feel like when I don't, the longevity isn't really there. So I will go on with this. This is Haus Labs, and this is the shade Medium Level 7. I love the Haus Labs powder products in general, but the bronzer is just so good. And I dropped it, so it's it's looking a little bit broken. I don't know if you can tell. I dropped it a little bit and just slightly broke, but that's okay. I'm going to take this brush, which I have 2 of these. This one broke a million years ago, but I'm going to tap it off on the back of my hand so there's not too much product. And I'm just going to very lightly kind of set the bronzer that I used. Take a little bit more and just make sure that we kind of set it in place so it's not moving around throughout the day. But these two sit really well together, and I really like the way that these look together. Okay, next we're going to go on with a light blush before we move on to the eyes. I'm really excited to show you guys that eyeshadow palette I'm about to use. But this is from Rowan Beauty, and this is just their shade Natural Rose. I've talked about this a ton of times. I'm going to take a little bit on this brush here. This is from BK Beauty. This is one I've been testing for a while because you know how I love the Sephora Pro 93. So good. I wanted to try another slanted brush. I'm actually really enjoying this because it's small. It's small, and I was looking for a small one, and I felt as though this brand really was the only one that had nice small blush brushes in this shape. Love the cheek. I just love this blush in general from Rowan Beauty. It's just so good, and out of all of their blush shades, this one is by far the standout. Natural Rose is one that I feel like so many people would love and use every day. I've used so much of this. It's just so good. So then next we're going to move on to the eyes. I'm so excited. We are talking about this new eyeshadow palette from Lawless. It's called the Dreamy Dozen. The second I saw I could get my hands on this, I did immediately because it's just so good. Look at this. Look how gorgeous that is. You have your cool tones, you have your more neutrally tones, but still, you know, enough warmth, enough cool tone that it's not overwhelming in either. And then you have your more warm tones. And I just love that. I love that you can mix and match. I like that I love a versatile eyeshadow palette where you don't feel like this is only a warm tone palette or only cool tone or whatever. You kind of have the option to create a lot of different looks with this, which I love. I mean, just look at that. Gorge. So we're going to try and create like a fun little look without it being too much. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of mix and match a little bit. So I'm going to kind of avoid the warm tones just because I feel like with the fact that I'm doing a red lip, which is a gorgeous red lip, the more cool and neutral tones will look best. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this shade here from the shade right here from the more neutrally tone, and I'm gonna just take this on a brush here and I'm going to just place it right here in the crease. Look how pretty that is. I love that shade. It is just so gorgeous. I'm gonna kind of pull it down a little bit, but I'm not gonna pull it all over my lid, and we're just going to kind of blend it. And I like to take my finger and blend with the edge with my finger. I always find that just makes life so much easier with eyeshadow. Just gonna blend with our fingers again. So the next what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take this shade and this shade here, these two mattes, mix them together, just mix a little bit. And then I'm going to actually take the shade and kind of create a little bit more gradient on the way up. So it kind of, do you see the way that just blends everything out really nicely? That's kind of the trick a lot of makeup artists use, I find, to kind of really diffuse the eyeshadow so it doesn't look like there's such a harsh line, if that makes sense. And it's a really pretty shade combination. I'm going to show you kind of what the shade combo is. I just did it here. Can you see? Can you see? There we go. It's just really pretty. These two mixed together just gives the perfect shade for my complexion. It is really, really good. And if you ever feel like your eyeshadow sometimes is just looking a little bit too harsh, like the line is too harsh, using this technique of using a lighter color to kind of create more of a gradient up is really smart. Okay, so next, what I think I want to do is I want to go on with this shade, which is Gorge. I love that shade, and it's so creamy. Oh, I love it. And this is more of a, I don't know how to explain it. I'm going to do a little swatch for you on the back of my hand right here. It's just such a pretty kind of almost gunmetal shade. So I'm going to use that on my lid, and we're just going to place it kind of, oh, look how pretty that is. We're just going to place it kind of here. We're not going to necessarily bring it all the way forward, but if it goes all the way forward, it's fine because we have ways to fix it, because we're going to do kind of a glittery eye today. Look how pretty that is. I love that shade. And we're going to just kind of focus it more towards the middle and back and bring it up a little bit, but not too high. We still want some of that transition shade showing. All right, so then I'm going to take this brush here and I'm not going to do anything additional. I'm just going to kind of blend everything together really nicely so that there isn't a harsh delineation or line between what I've done and what I'm going to be doing next. And I just love the combination of that kind of cool and warm tone look. So then I'm going to take actually this brush here because this is the fluffiest one I have, and I'm going to take it and I'm really going to go over just the edge like all the way up just to really keep it looking really good. And I'm going to take this shade here from the more neutral side and I'm going to focus that towards the front. And I'm going to make sure to stamp it over some of the gunmetal shade so it kind of blends together really seamlessly and it doesn't look like a harsh difference between the two. Although this shade is a lot less of a big glittery shade, it's more of a shimmer, whereas this, as you can see, is more of a not chunkier glitter, but the glitter pieces are a little bit more apparent, whereas this feels like more of a sheen. So the next what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of that transition shade and I'm going to pull it on my lower lash line first. So then next what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this shade here, the glittery shade, which usually it's smarter to do if you're going to do glitters on your lower lash line or glitters in general to do your makeup, like your base makeup and everything afterwards, but I never do that and it's always a mistake. But I'm going to take this brush here. I'm going to take a little bit of that product just on it. And what I'm going to do to avoid truly a disaster is I'm going to take setting spray. This is the LY's Beauty Setting Spray, which you know is my obsession of life. Spray it so that it kind of adheres a little bit better. And then we're going to lightly place it down towards the back. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little bit of a wing with this shade here, this more neutrally brown shade. And we're going to create just a very light wing, nothing too intense or crazy, but and focus more towards the back here. And then once the line is already down, as you can see, I'm going to take it and make it a little bit thicker. All right, really happy with that. Next, we're going to do mascara and move on to lips. We're going to curl our lashes. Because I just feel like curling your lashes makes such a big difference. It just makes the biggest difference. You cannot tell me otherwise. So then what I like to do is I like to spray my face with setting spray before I do mascara. Sometimes when you do mascara and setting spray after, sometimes you can get some running. This is such a good setting spray, you guys. I have a backup of this because I use so much of this. I just love it so much. I can't stop using it. All right, we're going to let our face dry and then we're going to move on to mascara and lips. Okay, next what we're going to do is mascara. I'm going to actually do a combination of the Tower 28 and the Ilia because sadly, my Jones Road Beauty mascara shattered the other day. I don't know what happened. It fell on the floor and it broke into a million pieces. Okay, a million pieces is crazy, but the top broke off and then there was some bits that kind of broke, the plastic broke. So I have one out for delivery, I think actually today. And I'm so happy because being without it has been a misery. So I'm going to do the Tower 28 mascara first, then the Ilia mascara, then we're going to move on and do the lips. I just love how mascara pulls the look together. I'm loving how my skin is looking. I'm loving the eyeshadow. I actually love this eyeshadow palette. And I find that only a few of the shades in here tend to be a little bit powdery, but I don't mind that because that means I'm going to get the pigmentation out of them. They are so, so good. And this shade here, oh, wrong side. This shade here that I used to create kind of that wing, it doesn't have fallout, which is really nice for how dark it is, so that when I'm kind of stamping the line, I'm not worried about there being a bunch of black or brown or whatever kind of dark color fall down and ruining the eyeshadow look. This does have a little bit of fallout, this shimmery shade, But that doesn't bug me because most glitter shades, to be honest, will have fallout. So just in general, don't do what I do. Do as I say, not as I do, and do your makeup after you do anything with a glitter. These two shimmery shades, you don't have to worry about fallout. This one just is a little bit more on the chunky side, but not in a chunky, like gross way, but just in a way where the glitter particles are a little bit on the bigger side. Really love this palette. Anyways, let's move on to lips. So we have two red lip products today. I'm very excited. So one is this lip liner from Jason Wu Beauty, and this is in the shade Ginger Red. Is that what it's called? Ginger Red. And there were a couple of red lip color shades that they had. I was not sure which one to go with, but I felt as though this one made the most sense for my complexion. But they have more than just the shade option, and I really enjoy the Jason Wu Beauty lip liners in general. They're really creamy. If you've ever used the KKW Beauty when they were still a thing, their lip liners, the Kylie Cosmetics lip liners, the what other brands? There's a lot of brands that have lip liners that are this similar in the way how creamy they are. They are amazing. Look how pretty that red is. She's bright, but I love it. In general, I like to go normally with more of a deeper red just because I feel like bright reds are a little too intense on me, but I do love this shade. Look how pretty. Look how pretty. I love this shade. Now this actually, I'm looking in the monitor, and in this is looking a lot brighter here than it does in person. This is very much more of a less bright, more true blue colored, like blue cool toned red. It's not looking quite as intense as we are here in the monitor, but I love this shade. It is so good and is going to be my go-to this kind of winter fall season when I do want a red lip. And then on top of that, we're going with this Summer Fridays. I was so excited. So this was out of stock for so long, this shade, and I couldn't get my hands on it, and I'm so excited it finally came back in stock. This is the Summer Fridays lip balm in the shade, I don't know, cherry. Simple, easy. Could have remembered that, and I really actually like this. Just look at that. Look how pretty that is. Oh, it's so good. Now this does have more of a cherry scent. It doesn't bother me. It's not too medicinal, but it does have that. And then what I'm going to do is take my fingers and just on the edges kind of, not blend, but just kind of diffuse a bit. Oh, it's just so good, you guys. I'm going to actually take a picture or a video really quick right now on camera so you can see what this really looks like in person, because it is just so good. And you can see really up close how good the skin actually looks. I just love it. It's so good. What do you guys think of the look? What do you guys think of the makeup in general? Like, are you intrigued by this palette? I would love to know if one of you has it or you're gonna get it. What do you think of the palette? Let me know down below. I'd love to hear feedback on what you guys love, because this is so freaking good. And this is gonna be one, especially the cool tone area. I don't love to have just a cool tone palette because I feel like I don't use the shades as much, but I love that this cool tone area is going to be so usable for me. Also, what do you think of the red lip? Do you like the Jason Wu Beauty lip liners? I'm obsessed with them. They're so good. And I use this one all the time right now because I'm really into a red lip look. And sometimes just doing like a really subtle, like warm eye with like a light glitter and a red lip. It's just so good. And yeah, that's it for this video. I would love to know your thoughts down below. Have you tried the Sculpt Stick? I believe that's what it's called. Yeah, Sculpt Face Stick from OG. Please let me know down below. And if you've used any of the Keys products, please let me know. Do you love them as much as I do? Leave a comment down below. And yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.